Welcome to another Chainlink update. Like always, make sure to check out our YouTube memberships and our Patreon if you want access to all of our charts and if you want access to our daily Discord updates. And what you know, what I said will happen actually happened. Chainlink just went to about $14, and in my last video I warned you about this, and I believe we were at about $18 when I made my video. And yeah, right now we're below $14. As you can see, we're actually below the 0.618 support level, which is actually not that good. And in this video I'm going to talk about the bullish scenario and the bearish scenario, and of course the short-term bullish and bearish scenarios. I don't think, Chainlink will do bad in this bull market, but it is possible that we actually dropped like $8 before we actually continue with the third wave. I know not many people are going to like this theory, but the same people who will not like this theory are the same people who did not like the fact that I said Chainlink will drop below $14. And if we do not bounce right now, it's possible that we do not get a fifth wave right here, and it's actually possible that we invalidate the whole 1, 2, 3, 4 setup on the chart, and that would not be the worst thing in the world. It would only turn into some kind of much bigger A, B, C structure for the second wave right here, and if that happens, it's going to be okay. Now I know the B wave is an overshooting B wave, but you have to keep in mind, and I always said this in my previous videos, Chainlink does not have a 5-wave move to the upside, which means that it could always invalidate whatever it has on the chart, and I warned you about this so many times right now. I mean, if you did not already know this, you should know it by this point. Now, there is a chance that we do not actually invalidate the whole setup, because if you look at the daily chart, it's currently oversold, and this is actually very, very bullish, because the last time we were oversold on the daily chart, Chainlink was at about $8. Right now it's at $14. So even if we go lower, even if we go to like $12, it's not going to be possible to go much lower than this, because we would be extremely oversold on the daily. So we would need some kind of at least move to the upside in the short term at least, before we actually, go down even further. Now, why am I bearish on Chainlink in the short term? Well, because we just had a cross on the bull market support band, and on some other altcoin charts, for example Cardano on VeChain, that cross happened like 2 weeks ago. And during that time, after the cross, nothing really happened. But, 2 weeks after the cross, we had a huge move to the downside. And I think Chainlink is just lagging right now, which means that it is possible for it to drop even more. And of course, if you bought up here, you are already crying right now, most probably. But I did tell you that the best possible time to buy is when Chainlink is in the support zone. Right now, Chainlink is in the support zone, and you could theoretically buy right now. Of course, that's not financial advice, but this could be a good buying opportunity if we actually bounce. If we do not bounce, well, I could see the whole 1, 2, 3, 4 setup getting invalidated. Keep in mind, the setup is still not invalidated at least right now, and if we actually get below, let's say $12.69, this whole pattern is going to turn into a diagonal, and I'm not going to be a fan of that. And I have another example. The ICP chart actually turned into a diagonal, and I did tell you that it's very, very bearish for a chart to have a diagonal, and after that we just went to the downside and we formed another low. And Chainlink, maybe it's going to do the exact same thing. I'm not saying that it will, but you have to be aware of all the possibilities. You have to keep in mind that Bitcoin dominance is currently at 62%, and it can even get to like 66% before we get the altcoin season. Now, of course, I'm still expecting the altcoin season to start by the end of March. You don't have to worry about that. But before that, the altcoin market could literally drop a lot, and during that time, Bitcoin dominance could go higher. Keep in mind, we are still in QT, we are not in QE. However, that does not really have a huge role to play, because in the 2017 cycle, we were in QT the whole time, and we still had the altcoin season, so I think we just have to wait for, Bitcoin dominance to start dropping. In the 2021 cycle, it started dropping at the end of March. In the 2017 cycle, it started dropping at the end of February. So if we actually start dropping, we should start dropping the next 2 days or so, maybe 3 days. If we do not, we will most likely continue going up until the end of March, and then we will do something like this over here, and we will start going down. And trust me, when we do start going down, it's going to be a huge move, and during that time, Chainlink and the other altcoins will do just fine, in my opinion. The main target for the third wave is $105. I know many people find that to be unrealistic, but from where we're at right now, that's actually very possible, at least in my opinion. And keep in mind, everything I have said so far, and of course this is not going to continue for too long, obviously I'm going to be wrong at some point, but everything I said so far has turned out to be true. I did tell you after the cross right here on the bull market support band that Chainlink will most likely have a huge move to the upside, and what do you know, we had that huge move to the upside. Actually, let me get rid of this right here, we don't need it anymore. And yeah, we had that move and then we went down because, we needed a fourth wave move to the downside. Now, I did tell you that it's not really bullish because we did not really form a 5-wave up. There are some altcoins that have a 5-wave up. For example, Cardano, it formed a 5-wave up, and because of that, it's not going down as much as the other altcoins. And I could even say that Solana is another example. However, Solana already has 5 waves up, but it still went down. So yeah, so if you look at the Chainlink chart, if you zoom out, things are still fine. Now, like I said, if you bought the top and if you FOMO'd in, that's your fault. But in the long term, I still think you are going to be fine if you did not already sell. If you sold already, well, that's your fault. And if we somehow get another low, this is the support zone for that. As you can see, we already tested the 0.618 support level multiple times. And it's not going to be the best thing in the world if we got another low, because for that to happen, you could say that Chainlink would have to drop from like $30 all the way down to like $8, and people will most likely give up on it if that happens, but it's a possibility. And I also want to look at the Bitcoin chart for a second. I talked about this move many times already. I did tell you that it's possible for Bitcoin to get a move to the bull market support band to test it, because we did this multiple times in the previous couple of cycles, and yeah, this cycle is no different. We are currently testing the bull market support band. We'll see if we actually stay above it or not, and if we do not stay above it, well, it's likely that Bitcoin goes to an even lower low and maybe even about $82,000, maybe even $75,000 before we actually continue with a fifth wave of the main third wave. But I'm still expecting the main third wave to end by May of 2025. And yeah, that will not change anything. If we get to like $75,000, it's going to be okay. Well, it's going to be okay for Bitcoin, not for the altcoins. If that happens, it's going to be a bloodbath, but in the long term, it's still going to be fine. I also want to tell you something very important that just happened on the Bitcoin chart. We just got to the oversold territory on the daily chart, and the last time this happened, Bitcoin was at $49,000, and during that time, we were also below the bull market support band, so this could actually be very bullish. Now, could we go a bit lower, maybe to like $85,000, maybe even $82,000 in the short term? Of course, but I don't think it will drop much more than that, to be honest with you. Now, maybe we are doing something like we did over here. As you can see here, we had a cross on the bull market support band, and then we dropped after that, and we kept putting in lower lows. Maybe something like this will happen, and if it does, we could drop to like 75k. But you have to keep in mind we are in a post-halving year right now, and we don't really have time for that. And also, speaking of the post-halving year, I want to show you what happened in 2017. In 2017, the bull market support band was tested like 50 times. It was tested here, and you get the idea. And every single time it was tested, we bounced off the bull market support band, and yeah, we went to new all-time highs. However, these corrections were actually 30% drops, and these always happened, and they happened every couple of months. So you have to be prepared for this, and I'm still expecting Bitcoin to be at $255,000 by the end of the year. I know that sounds insane, considering the fact that we cannot even seem to be able to get above $100,000, but trust me, of course, don't trust me, you don't have to trust me if you don't want to, and keep in mind, this is not financial advice, but at least judging this by what happened in the previous couple of cycles, it's very easy for Bitcoin to get to $255,000 in my opinion, and if that happens, Chainlink should do just fine. Now, keep in mind, in the previous cycle, after Chainlink, got a top in May, it never got above this top again in November like some other altcoins did. So it is possible that Chainlink gets a huge move to the upside by the end of May, and then when we go down in the summer, of course, we could go up in the short term again after that, but maybe we will not get above the May high in November, and maybe you will actually start the bear market sooner. But if that happens and we actually get to the zone right here between $100 and $160, I'm not saying that you should take profits, but if you bought down here and you bought at like $8 or maybe even $16 or maybe even $30, maybe taking some profits above all-time highs will not be the worst thing in the world. So I'm still bullish on Chainlink in the long term. However, in the short term, I could see it dropping more. Now, if it doesn't, and if we actually hold support levels, we should form a 5-wave move to the upside. side, and that 5-wave move should complete the 5th wave right here. The 5th wave, I'm expecting it to get to, let's say, somewhere between $35 and $40, and of course it needs to be in 5 waves. But before we do that, we need to get above the bull market support band, and keep in mind we had a cross on the bull market support band, which means that the price could go lower. I mean, here we had a cross on the bull market support band, we went down, then we went above the bull market support band, and then we went even lower than that. So we'll see what happens in the next couple of weeks. I'm still bullish, like I said, but it could go down a bit more, and if that happens, it's going to be okay in the long term. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, make sure to check out our YouTube memberships and our Patreon if you want access to all of our charts, and if you want access to our daily Discord updates. Like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.